So, as usual, we are going to follow the Roswell Presbyterian Church sermon series. We're in a new series on the book of Revelation. And our pastor Jeff made a joke about being allergic to the book of Revelation. He also pointed out that John Calvin never wrote a commentary on that book. Nonetheless, we're taking it on. So here's my takeaway from the sermon. Just listen. Jeff picked up on the music. So it was chapters 4 and 5. And how basically all of creation sings. And his question is, what is the soundtrack in the background of your life? So probably because we're all human, that would change from year to year, or week to week, or day to day, or maybe even moment to moment. So honestly, if I were being my best self all the time, the soundtrack, the background of my life would be take my life and let it be. But honestly, it's not always that. So someone sent an email to me today of another soundtrack. It was VeggieTales singing God is Bigger Than the Boogeyman. Maybe that should be the soundtrack of our life, where the poor little vegetable scared in his bed at night gets reassured that God is in control. So as you inhale and exhale, maybe there's a song or a verse or a rhyme that you want to set as your intention that you can come back to with every breath. So once you've set your intention, let it go. And then gently draw your knees into your chest, maybe just holding the backs of the thighs. So not too much tension on the knees, and just rock from side to side a little bit. And then go ahead and plant the feet again and take your arms overhead. So maybe you need to rest them on blocks behind you, or maybe your palms will all go all the way to the floor up overhead. Back to the hands resting gently. Maybe noticing a difference from one side to the other. And then walk your feet out to the edges of the mat. And on exhale, leave your left leg where it is, but just let your right knee drop inward. And see if you can reach your right arm further away from you. You could maybe even hold your right arm with your left wrist and just give it a gentle tug. So big opening in the right side of the body. Then if you wanted to let your left knee flop out so you get more of a twist and a deeper stretch on the right side of the ribs, you can do that. And on an exhale, pull your low belly in so that you can bring your knees back up to center. Release your wrist if you were holding on. Just notice one side to the other again. And then exhale, turn your left knee in, keep your foot flexed, so protecting the knee. And reach the left arm far away, maybe holding onto the left wrist with your right arm. Give a gentle tug. So make sure the head is heavy, not building any tension anywhere in the jaw or the neck. And then maybe if you want to let the right knee flop all the way open and get more of a twist. And on an exhale, pull your low belly in, bring your knees back up to center, release your arms and bring them back down by your side. And then bend your elbows 90 degrees so that your fingertips are pointing toward the ceiling, and realign your feet in line with your hips. So pushing into the big toe mound, especially, and the outer heel. Inhaling, lift your hips in a gentle bridge pose. And exhale, drop them down. 2 more times. Inhaling, lift your hips. And exhaling, drop them down. And again, inhaling, lift your hips. And exhaling, drop them down. Good. And then again, draw your knees into your chest, hold the backs of your thighs, maybe rock from side to side again. And then if you have a block or a pillow or even your sweatshirt, anything you can put a towel in between your knees to hold on to, and then take your knees right over your hips so and your shins parallel to the ground so you look like a chair on its back, and we're going to start to work our abdominal muscles. You don't have to go very far to the side to get the feeling. So there shouldn't be any pain in the low back. On an exhale, take your knees to the right, maybe halfway to the floor. So your left hip comes up, still squeezing the block. And then come on back to center and take a breath. Then on your next exhale, take your knees over to the left, maybe halfway to the floor. Try and keep your right shoulder on the ground, but your right hip comes up. And then exhale, pull your knees back up to center. We're going to do that 2 more times each side. So exhaling the knees over to the right, stay here, inhale deeply, and then exhale back to center. Then inhale here, and exhale over to the left, so moving with your breath. Inhale, stay there. Pull your low belly in and exhale back to center. So 1 more time each side. So feeling that gut get warm, the obliques of the side. Exhale over to the right. Inhale deeply. Exhale back to center. Take your breath in. Exhale, last side. Inhale. And exhale, come on back to center. Release the block and take your heels to the ceiling. So check in with your thighs. I want your thighs to be at least perpendicular 90 degrees to your spine. So if that means you need to keep your knees pretty bent, that's okay. If your hamstrings are kind of loose and you want to straighten your legs all the way, you can do that. Now, if you have low back pain, you might want to rock onto one side and then the other to put your palms facing down underneath your sacrum. It's going to help protect your low back a little bit. We're going to do some leg lowering. So on an inhale, lower your right leg. And exhale, pull the low belly in. Bring the leg back up. Inhale, lower the left leg. And exhale, pull it back up. 2 more times each side. Relax the upper body. Just focus on the core. Inhale, leg down. Exhale, leg up. Nice. Inhale, leg down. Nice and fluid. Exhale, leg up. 1 more time each side. Inhaling, leg down. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. And let your knees come to your chest again and rock from side to side. Good. So then, holding your shins, your knees, or either the backs of your thighs, we're just going to make some little motions with our knees, so getting into the hip joint. So start with the left knee and make some circles with that left knee in the air. Doesn't matter which direction you go first. And then change directions. Make a circle the other way. And then relax the left knee and make some circles with the right. One direction. And then change direction. Took me a minute to figure that one out. It's good for our brains too. Good. And then just let your legs be still, but make some circles with your ankles. Really flexing and pointing the toes one direction. Upper body completely relaxed, then go the other direction. And then go ahead and plant your feet. And gently roll to one side so that you can push yourself up to seated. So if you have trouble getting your spine, again, perpendicular to the ground, if your pelvis is curled under, then sit up on your yoga block or a pillow or a bolster, even in a chair, right? We just want to keep our spine nice and long. So sit up really tall, cross-legged, and on an exhale, you're going to twist to one side. So finding the edge of your range of motion, no pain, shoulders level, and a nice deep twist, wringing out our internal organs. And then come on back to center. Inhale, get really tall again, and exhale to the other side. So one of the points that Jeff made in his sermon I love is that the focus on the cosmos, right? So book 5 in Revelation is really an example of God's plan for the end of time. Grace, forgiveness, love. Exhaling, gently release, come on back to center. Inhale, get really, really tall. Identify which leg is in front before you fold forward, and then gently fold forward. I'm going to turn sideways, so it's nice flat spine, right? Keep your low belly pulled in, back of the neck long. Actually, I realized I didn't turn my studio lights on. So you keep there, nice easy forward fold. Maybe you want to go a little deeper. Let's see if this makes it a little brighter. One more exhale. Pull your low belly in and inhale. Come on up to seated. And stretch your legs out so that your feet are bent about 90 degrees. So you could stay right here. You could reach your fingertips forward and just feel your core nice and strong. You could shift onto your sacrum and lift your shins. So again, keeping that chest nice and lifted and light. Maybe one more deep breath. Shouldn't be any back pain. You could use your hands behind you to help. So remember which leg was in front in that cross-legged forward fold and switch legs. So now the other leg is in front. Sit up really, really tall. And exhale, bring your body forward again. So making any motions that would feel good. Maybe that's a little rocking from side to side. Maybe you want to go a little bit deeper. And then walk yourself back up to seated. So one more direction to move our spine, right? A nice easy side stretch. So walk one hand out a little bit away from your body. Take the other arm up, right? And stay nice and tall. Folding sideways, shoulders stacked one right over the other. Root the opposite hip. So your head's just an extension of the spine. So if that's too much on your neck, you could look down at your hand. Couple of breaths here. And then inhale and come on back up to center. So take a moment to just check in with your body and notice one side to the other. Maybe starting to feel some more energy in your body. So inhale, take the other arm up, walk your hand out a little bit and fold sideways. So several times this week I've come in contact with this concept of the body from Ayurveda medicine, which is kind of like the sister science to yoga, about how our body has many layers, the koshas. So the first outer layer, our physical body that we nourish with food and movement, just like we are. Inhaling, come on back to center. But then there's the energetic body, that next layer inward. Sort of play around with it a little bit. Take your arms out to the side, turn your palms facing up. And think about drawing your shoulder blades in toward your spine so the energy's coming inward, so kind of a compressive energy in toward your core. But then turn your palms facing forward and reach your fingertips way out, so now it's more like an extensive energy, reaching outward. So that's what we're going for in all the poses, that really engaged, energetic body. Exhaling, gently just release your hands to the side. So then we're going to come onto all fours. Do a little cat-cow. Make sure your spine's nice and warm, so fingers are spread wide, pushing into the thumb side of the hand. So you can have your toes curled under and get a little foot stretch, or you can push the tops of the feet into the mat, whichever feels right. And on an inhale, gently arch. And on an exhale, hollow out. Do a couple more rounds on your own. Maybe one more. Full expression in both directions. Expanding your energy, and then come on back to neutral. And stretch your right leg straight out behind you. Right, so the toes are pointing down, spine's nice and long. And maybe you want to shift your weight so that you can take your left thumb to the ceiling. Just look down at that space under your nose and feel that energetic pull, fingertips all the way to heel. Nice. One more breath. And exhaling, gently release. Maybe rock your hips from side to side a little bit. So if you keep pushing into that thumb side of your hand, it'll help protect the wrist. On an inhale, reach your left leg out, toes pointing down, get nice and long. I feel that energy drawing into the core. And then maybe you take your right thumb to the ceiling and send that energy out through the heel and the fingertips. And exhaling, gently release, maybe rock the hips from side to side again. And then come up to standing on your knees. So pad your knees if your knees are a little bit tender. Right. We're just going to do another easy side stretch. A couple of different things you could do with your arms. You could take your one arm up again and just run your other hand down your thigh. Or you could interlace your hands overhead, right? And then fold straight to the side. So root both knees, feel the core nice and strong, tailbone dropping down. And inhale, come on back up. So if you want to do just one arm, keep one arm up, run the other hand down the thigh, or you can go to the other side, interlacing your hands and releasing your index fingers. Shouldn't be any pain anywhere, right? Nice. And inhaling, come on back up to center. Just let your arms drop. Roll your shoulders up, back, and down. All right. And feel your shoulder blades gently pressing forward. So if you read my email this week, there's a little exercise in the undefended heart, right? Just making yourself available. Feel your shoulder blades gently pushing your heart forward. It's a really nice posture. And perhaps come back to that intention that you set. Nice. So then I'm going to use a block for prop. I'm going to bring my right leg forward today. So I usually start on the right leg on even days and the left leg on odd days. So starting in that high lunge, right knee right over the ankle, hand on the block, or you could have your hand on a chair, or you could be in front of a table. You're going to curl your back toes under and see if you can lift your back thigh. You feel that stretch in the hip flexor of the left leg, working that right quad. Nice. And then exhaling. Pull your low belly in, no clunking the knee down, super slowly and gently. Float your left knee down. I'm going to keep my toes curled under today for a nice foot stretch. Hands to the thigh. Make sure you're nice and stable. So if you're feeling a little wobbly, walk your front foot out to the edge of the mat. And maybe take your arms up in the air and raise your gaze. Nice. Exhaling, gently release. I'm going to use my block to safely transition to the other side, right? So coming to all fours. And then bringing the left leg forward. Pad that back knee if you need. See if you can drop way low and forward. So you feel a stretch right here. The front of the right thigh. So once you get there, curl your back toes under and see if you can lift your back thigh. Get strong and long. But do so safely. And then gently float your back knee down. Super slowly. Maybe keep those toes curled under. Nice firm base. Maybe take your gaze upward. And exhaling, hands to the mat. So I'm going to lift my back knee again so that I can scoot myself forward. Back leg meets the front. Spine's nice and straight. On an inhale, lengthening the legs, stacking the shoulders over the hips, right into Tadasana. Nice. Okay, so then we're going to come to like a little mini goddess pose. We're going to work on opening our hips. So the key here is you want your knees to track right out over your feet. So my feet are turned out about 90 degrees. And in order to make that happen, I'm going to lean forward slightly and put my hands on the inside of my thighs near my knees. So my knees are staying right out over my toes. So if you can keep your knees over your toes and lift your shoulders, there's going to be much more tension on the hips. And drop shoulders right over the hips. Try that. Right? But then hands on the knees, fold forward again. And then turn your toes in so that your feet are parallel. And inhale, lift your hips and just reach the crown of the head out long so my spine is parallel to the ground, right? You'll feel that in your hamstrings. Exhaling, soften the knees again. And inhale, lengthen. Turn sideways. So you can see me, you don't have to turn sideways. Exhale, soften. And inhale, lengthen. So being mindful of your own body, keeping the head above the heart. If you have any like eye issues, glaucoma, or anything like that, but if you wanted to fold more deeply forward and let your head hang, you could try that. Maybe nod your head yes, shake your head no. It's really good for the neck. It's using the weight of the head to lengthen the space between the vertebrae. And then coming up nice and slowly, soften back into the knees, hands on the thighs. Maybe stay here with your heart and your head sort of in the same line for a breath or two. And then inhale. Once again, lengthen the knees, stack your shoulders right over your hips. Nice. And we'll do a tree pose, just a one-legged balance, right? So go to a wall or a chair, that's helpful. You're going to shift your weight into one leg. Turn your knee out. You could do kickstand. Better to get on one leg and hold on to something. Maybe your foot comes all the way up to the inner thigh. Just no weight in the knee, right? Perhaps you start with your hands at your heart center. Or maybe lift your shoulders up, back, and down. And just feel that nice open heart. So use your drishti, focusing on one thing that's not moving. Maybe 1 or 2 more breaths. Try and get back in. Nice. And exhaling, gently release and walk it out. So when you're ready, we'll shift our weight into the other side. So try and do the same thing on both sides, right? Get nice and long and tall in the spine. Separating the rib cage from the hips. Tailbone dropping down. Maybe opening up that heart space again. So sometimes if we look too far down, that's where our body goes. So take your gaze 8 or 10 feet at least out in front of you. Nice. And exhaling, gently release. Just go ahead and walk it out. Good. So we're going to get a little deeper into the hips. Definitely you could be holding onto a chair in front of you, or you could take your back against the wall, take a nice wide straddle. And then turn your right toes out. So I think I'm being your mirror. We've got a nice heel to arch alignment going here. You're going to soften that foot, take the knee right over the middle of the foot so you can still see your big toe. And maybe inhale, straighten, and exhale, soften. Inhaling, straighten, and exhaling, soften. And then take your arms out to the side and turn your palms facing up. So this is a kind of an interesting thing. We want to keep the ability to rotate at our elbows, so keep your biceps, your upper arms pointing up, and see if you can just turn your lower arms, palms facing down. Nice. And inhaling, straighten. And turn those toes back, so all 10 toes to the long edge of your mat. Right? And then we'll get ready to go to the other side. So turn the other foot out. Exhaling. Take the knee over the middle of the foot. All right, maybe straighten and bend a couple times. Just increasing awareness of the sensations in your body. You learn to do it on the mat, and we can do it off the mat. So turn your palms facing up. Feel that energy, right? Reaching outward, and then keep everything where it is, but just turn the palms facing down. Nice. Nice. Inhale, go ahead and straighten. Turn those toes in. So safely heel toe your way back, so you get your feet back under you. Nice. So on an inhale, take your arms up overhead. Exhale, bring your hands to your heart center. Perhaps close your eyes for a moment, just notice how your body feels. Okay, so I'm feeling the need to stretch the shoulders. So you're going to want to go to a wall or a door frame. So first I'm going to show you what to do. So imagine that the door is right in front of me, right? I'm going to go walk up to the wall. I'm going to take my arm straight up the wall, right? Let's see, I can't do it. Here, I'll turn away from you. So yeah, I'm going to walk my arm right up the wall, and then I'm going to turn my toes sideways. So you're going to start to feel a big pectoral stretch, right? So go to the wall and do that with one arm, doesn't matter which one. Face the wall or the door frame, and then turn your toes sideways away. So you should already feel a nice stretch, right? On an exhale, see if you can just bend your knees. Push your hand into the wall so your hand doesn't move. You're just lengthening through the shoulder girdle, the rib cage, the shoulder, the arm. Right? It shouldn't be any pain anywhere. It should just feel like a nice deep stretch. Make sure your hand is pressing into the wall. Maybe you can drop a little deeper. Ooh. Use your breath. And then inhale, go ahead and straighten your legs. So listen to my voice if you can't see me. Imagine that you're a clock face. So if you've got your left hand against the wall, you're going to walk it from midnight, 12 o'clock, down to 9 o'clock, just slightly above your shoulder. My hand's still pressing against the wall. So if you're using a door frame, just walk yourself forward so that your hand can be on the door frame. And then you're going to work on opening up your body away from the wall even more. So this can be super intense. Just go gently and slowly. Then maybe you want to keep the base of your palm pushing into the wall, but peel your fingers away. You'll feel that in your lower arm, in your hand. Take a breath. And then soften your knees and exhale, just release that arm, shake it out. Just notice the difference from one to the other, right? Who knew we had so much tension there? Okay, so we're going to do the other one. Walk right up to the wall or the door frame. Walk your hand up nice and long. Push that hand into the wall and then start to walk your toes away. Keep your low belly pulling in, your tailbone dropping down. Pushing your hand into the wall, maybe on an exhale you start to bend your knees. I have my little reminder here on the wall to breathe. As you push your hand into the wall more, maybe you can drop a little more deeply. Good, so on an inhale, go ahead and straighten your legs. Now walk your hand around the clock face. So if it's your right hand, you're going to go from 12 o'clock to like just above 3 o'clock. And then see if you can turn your body away from the wall a little more. Keep pushing your hand into the wall for a couple breaths. Just close your eyes, notice what you feel. And maybe you want to peel your fingertips away, pushing the base of your palm into the wall. Spread your fingers wide. Ooh, breathe. And exhaling, gently release. Come away from the wall and just go ahead and shake it out. Maybe even shake out your hands, make fists, and then stretch your fingers. Good. And then come back to the top of your mat. All right, so stand up really tall in Tadasana, feet about hip width apart, tailbone dropping down, arches lifting. So push into the big toe mound and the outer heel. And then inhale, take your arms up overhead. On an exhale, you're going to soften your knees and fold forward, however is safe for you. So maybe the knees stay bent and the rib cage goes to the thighs. Maybe you can let the head hang and lift your hips and straighten your legs. And soften your knees again. Bring your hands to your thighs. And we're going to take a twist. So take your left forearm and stick it outside your right thigh. So maybe this is where you want to stay. Check in with your knees and keep them nice and level so your left knee doesn't jut out. Maybe you can take your left elbow to the outer thigh and then bring your palms together. So the most important thing is keeping your spine nice and long and straight. A couple breaths here. If you know of a way to go deeper into the pose, feel free. And exhaling, gently release. Take a little break, inhaling, come on back to Tadasana, right where we started. So we'll do the same thing on the other side. I'm just going to turn myself forward. So inhale, arms up overhead. Exhaling, soften the knees and gently dive forward. Right, so rib cage to the thighs, or maybe the head hangs and you lift your hips. Then soften your knees again, bring your hands to your thighs, and we're twisting the other way now, so I'm not your mirror, right? So I'm taking my right elbow to the outside of my left thigh, or your forearm, or keep both hands on your hips. Just find a way to get that twist, knees in line. Go deeper if you like. Exhaling, gently release. Again, taking a little break, coming right back to Tadasana. Inhale, take your arms up overhead, and exhale your hands to your heart. Nice. So then we're going to come back to the top of the mat. Inhale, arms up overhead one more time. Exhaling, gently fold forward. Let your head hang if you can. And then soften the knees, grab a hold of your block, or some way to help you get to the floor safely. Right knee back, right leg back, left knee right over the ankle. And then float that right knee down nice and safely and come to all fours. And then we're going to drop to our elbows. So you want to be in a modified plank and do little core work here. So my spine is on one long line from my knees out through the crown of my head. So we're going to start in this modified plank. You could have your hands interlaced, or you could plant your palms with the forearms parallel. On an inhale, lift your right knee, put it down, lift your left knee, put it down. See if you can lift both knees, and then float your knees down. And do that 2 more times. Lift the right knee, put it down. Lift the left knee, put it down. Lift both knees, and then float them down. 1 more time. Right knee, and left knee, and both knees. Maybe stay here for a breath. And then float the knees down. Relax the tops of your feet, toenails on the mat, and then gently drop your hips so there shouldn't be any pain in the low back here. Firm up your legs, and think about taking your rib cage long away from your pelvis. So this is a little Sphinx pose. Just gazing at the front edge of your mat. You don't need to hyperextend your neck. Just stretching those belly muscles. And then exhaling, gently release. Make a pillow for your head with your hands. And rock your hips from side to side. So a couple of back strengtheners here. Back up a little bit so I have room for my arms. So let your forehead rest on the mat. And bring your fingertips to the back of your skull, to those little occipital bones at the base of your skull. So go ahead and give them a little massage. We can actually carry a lot of tension there. Just dig in there. A few deep breaths. So for this next exercise, just listen to my voice. Your forehead's going to stay on the ground, but on an inhale, you're going to lift your elbows as high as you can. My fingertips are still touching the base of my skull. Tuck your tailbone, and on your next inhale, straighten your arms out at the elbows, making like a V for victory. And then exhale, bend the elbows, fingertips back to the base of the skull. Inhale, V for victory. Exhale, fingertips back to the head. 2 more times. Inhale, V for victory. Legs are firm. Exhale, elbows bend. 1 more time. Inhale, V for victory. Lift those elbows. Exhale, bend the elbows. And relax the arms down on the mat. You can lift your head and put your hands back underneath your forehead. And then we're going to do just a version of locust pose. So squeeze those legs together like a mermaid. And on an inhale, get long, lift your heels. Your head can stay right on your hands. Or you could think about lifting your head and your shoulders, taking your ribcage away from your hips. Or Even though you're taking your rib cage away from your hips, you could reach your fingertips toward your heels. And then exhaling, gently release. Make that pillow for your head with your hands again. Bend your knees and take your feet from side to side. So I want to take an opportunity while we're on our bellies here to stretch our quads, our thighs. So if you are unable to grab a hold of your foot, you could maybe grab the back of your pant leg, or you could get a strap or a necktie or a hand towel and wrap it around your ankle. See if you can find one foot. Nice, easy thigh stretch. So in this action, our foot, our knee, and our hip are all in line. And it's like you're trying to push that headlight, your front hip point, into the mat. Couple more breaths. And then exhaling, slowly and gently release that leg. Maybe bend and straighten the knee a couple times. And then we'll get ready to go to the other side. So you can just rest your head on your forearm and reach for the other foot. Get everything back in line on the railroad tracks, and then think about pushing that hip headlight into the ground. One interesting thing to do in yoga is just to notice where your mind goes if it wanders. And then bring it back to your breath or your intention. Perhaps your mind went to God is bigger than the boogeyman. Okay, so one more gentle back bend. Come back to that Sphinx pose where our elbows were right under our shoulders. Firm up your legs, push your feet into the mat. You can stay right here, but if you want to try this variation, push your palms into the mat. Don't move your hands, but just lift yourself up and see if you can straighten your arms. Shouldn't be any pain in the low back, right? We're taking our ribcage away from the hips. Couple of breaths. Nice. Shoulder blades still sliding down your back wherever you are. And exhaling, gently release. Pull your low belly in, come up on your knees, and then walk your knees in toward your elbows. All right, we're going to come to seated. Take a leg stretch series, Janu Shirsasana. So I'm going to stay facing the short edge of my mat. Got my right foot on my inner thigh and my left leg extended out. Now again, if you're having trouble keeping your pelvis level, sit up on a block or bolster or pillow or something. Maybe rock a little bit from side to side. Get yourself right up on your sitting bones. Inhale, get tall. And then exhale, start to walk yourself toward your extended legs. So you could grab a strap. Maybe wrap it around your foot. Use a towel, or just rest your hands on either side of your leg. So again, we want to do this mostly with a flat back, right? Not too much rounding. Especially if you've got spinal issues, bone strength issues, maybe you can reach for the outside of your foot. Just take a couple of breaths here. So use your exhales to soften and make more space. Pull that low belly in and use your hands to walk yourself back up to center. Then we're simply going to shift our pelvis away from that extended leg, opening up the knee. So now we can get into that, the adductor, inner thigh muscle, right? So you're going to sit up really tall and then fold sideways toward that extended leg. So you can keep your hands resting on your legs. You can take that top arm and reach it toward your foot. Whatever feels right. And on an inhale, use those core muscles to bring yourself back upright. So you don't have to do this next thing, but if you want, you could rest your hand behind the hip of your bent leg and come onto your knee and the flat foot, bottom of your extended leg foot, lifting your hips upwards. So it feels like a little bit of a back bend, front body stretch. And when you're ready, exhaling, gently release. So coming through easy seated pose so that we can go to the other side. Right, Janushirshasana, you don't have to turn yourself around. I'm just doing it so I don't have my back to you. So for now, my hips are pointed towards my foot, right? Short edge of my mat. Maybe rock a little bit, get right up on your hips. And then fold straight forward. Again, using the tie or holding onto your leg. Maybe eventually you find your foot. So use your exhales to settle in. Do a little body scan. Make sure you're not bracing anywhere. Tightening the muscles when we should be loosening. And you come back to that nice, calm, steady energy. Quiet mind. That's the third layer in. The mind, the feelings, emotions. And use your core and your hands. Bring your shoulders back over your hips. And then turn your pelvis away from your extended leg. So we can get into that inner thigh. Right? Holding straight side toward the leg. Maybe you want to take your top arm over, reaching toward the foot. Maybe you're super bendy, you can grab your foot. Just try and keep your heart open. Pull your low belly in on an inhale. Stack your shoulders over your hips again. Again, optional, right? Coming onto the knee and the foot of the extended leg. It's a little front body opener. Just making space, moving our body in all the ways that we can. And when you've had enough, exhaling, gently release. So take a moment to check in with your body. Maybe there's some other pose it's asking for. Maybe it's another forward fold. Maybe you have an inversion in your practice. So I'm going to suggest gently rolling yourself onto your back and maybe taking a Baddha Konasana or bound angle where the soles of the feet together. The knees flop open. You could rest your thighs, outer thighs on a block if that's helpful. Again, taking these last couple of minutes to finish up your practice. However is right for you. So wherever you are, recall your intention, a song or phrase. And then let it go. And just come back to your breath. So if you've finished up your practice, some suggestions for Shavasana, the most important pose of all. Fold your knees back together. You can keep your knees bent and walk your feet out so that your knees flop inward, so you're not using any muscle energy to hold your legs up. You tuck your shoulder blades together. Or you can extend your legs straight out. That's okay with your low back in a traditional Shavasana. Feel your body completely supported by the earth underneath you. Recalling God's plan for good for all of the cosmos. Just resting in the divine presence for a few more breaths. So gently, slowly start to bring some movement back to your body. Maybe that's wiggling your fingers and your toes. Maybe making some circles with your wrists or your ankles. Maybe it's a big, long stretch to get ready to go again. Finish your day. Eventually you want to draw your knees in so that you can safely roll to one side. I invite you to push yourself up to seated, maybe keeping your eyes closed. So for a moment, resting your hands on your thighs, perhaps palm facing up, if that's comfortable. So one of the hymns we sang ended something like, "Where'er the sun shines, Christ will be." The universal cosmic expression of forgiveness, love, mercy, and grace. Almost as if you can feel it in the palms of your hands. On an inhale, bring your hands together, sealing in that energy. Exhaling, bow your head to your own heart. Give yourself that mental pat on the back for showing up so that you could be your best self. Find that best song to be the background for your life. Perhaps take our lives and let them be everything, all for thee. The Spirit in me honors the Spirit in each of you. Namaste.